The galaxy had a rule. No new civilization could join the galactic concord unless it proved it could contribute something truly valuable. Thousands of species had passed the test. Humanity never got the chance. The massive hall of stars fell silent as Earth's ambassador, Evelyn Carter, stood before representatives from more than 300 alien civilizations. Towering crystalline beings shimmered beneath floating lights. Mechanical delegates watched through glowing optic arrays. Feathered diplomats whispered among themselves. Everyone waited for the verdict. The High Chancellor's voice echoed across the chamber. After reviewing humanity's application, the Galactic Concord has reached its decision. The pause. We reject Earth. The word struck harder than any weapon. Screens around the chamber displayed the official reason. Reason for rejection. Primitive military doctrine. Outdated industrial capacity. No unique biological or technological advantage. Insufficient strategic value. Then came the sentence that history would never forget. Humanity offers nothing the galaxy needs. Several delegates didn't even hide their amusement. A reptilian senator laughed openly. A species that still relies on chemical rockets a few centuries ago believes it deserves a seat among stars? Another delegate added, they survive through persistence, not intelligence. Soft laughter spread throughout the assembly. Ambassador Carter remained perfectly still. She showed no anger, no tears, only silence. Finally she spoke. We understand your decision. Many expected her to argue. Instead she bowed respectfully. But remember something. The chamber quieted. The value of a civilization cannot always be measured by today's technology. The Chancellor dismissed her words. History disagrees. Security drones escorted the human delegation toward the exit. As the enormous doors closed behind them, the laughter continued. Back on Earth, every major city carried the news live. People gathered in streets. Schools paused classes. Factories stopped production. Families watched enormous public displays showing the rejection. For several minutes, no one spoke. Then the internet exploded. Some demanded humanity abandon space forever. Others demanded war. Scientists simply watched in disappointment. But hidden beneath the Rocky Mountains, inside Facility Atlas, no one looked surprised. A group of elderly engineers quietly turned off the broadcast. One of them smiled. So, they finally made their choice. Across the table sat Admiral Nathan Hayes, commander of Earth's Strategic Development Directorate. He folded his hands calmly. Good. Several younger officers looked confused. Sir? Hayes walked toward an enormous window overlooking something impossible. Thousands of construction drones surrounded a vessel nearly 12 kilometers long. Unlike elegant alien ships, this one looked brutal. Layer upon layer of armor. Massive engines. No decorative curves. Every surface existed for one purpose. Survival. It means, Hayes said quietly, Phase 1 is complete. The room fell silent. One engineer activated a hologram. Instead of one ship, millions appeared, hidden inside asteroids, buried beneath lunar mountains, drifting silently beyond Neptune. Humanity had spent 40 years preparing for rejection. Not because they wanted war, because history had taught them something. Never rely on someone else's acceptance. Build your own future. Hayes looked around the room. They think we came asking for permission. A slow smile appeared. They never realized. We came to measure the competition. The hologram changed again. Economic projections. Industrial growth. Artificial intelligence production. Quantum manufacturing. Everything accelerated. Earth no longer needed the Galactic Concord. It would build something entirely new. Something no civilization had ever imagined. Far away, the alien senators celebrated another successful vote. None of them noticed a single classified transmission leaving Earth's solar system. Destination: unknown. Message encrypted. Authorization level: humanity first. And for the first time in galactic history, Earth stopped asking to belong. It began preparing to rewrite the rules. For the Galactic Concord, Earth's rejection quickly became yesterday's news. The Assembly moved on to trade agreements, border disputes, and ceremonial inductions for two newly accepted civilizations. Humanity was reduced to a single archived file labeled Rejected Applicant, Low Strategic Value. No one bothered to look again. That was exactly what Earth had hoped would happen. 5 years passed, then 10. To the rest of the galaxy, humanity seemed to disappear. There were no diplomatic protests, no threats, no attempts to reapply for membership. Earth simply went quiet. Alien intelligence agencies reported declining human communications beyond the solar system. Commercial traffic from Earth almost vanished. Even long-range probes detected fewer transmissions than before. The Concorde interpreted the silence as failure. They're retreating, one analyst concluded. They've accepted their place. But they couldn't have been more wrong. Deep beneath the lunar surface, hidden inside the massive underground complex known as Forge Prime, the opposite was happening. Entire mountains had been hollowed out to create the largest manufacturing facility in human history. Thousands of autonomous factories worked around the clock. No workers, no breaks, only machines building more machines. Every hour, new fabrication drones rolled off production lines. Those drones immediately began constructing additional factories, creating a self-expanding industrial network that grew faster every month. Dr. Maya Chen, director of planetary engineering, watched the production numbers rise across an enormous holographic display. Output increase? An AI answered instantly. 23% this month. And material reserves? Asteroid mining operations have exceeded projections by 41%. She smiled. Keep expanding. The AI paused. Expansion target? Dr. Chen looked toward a holographic map of the solar system. Everything. Mars had become an industrial planet. The asteroid belt had transformed into humanity's private resource field. Gigantic orbital foundries floated above Jupiter, processing metals collected from hundreds of captured asteroids. Near Saturn, automated shipyards stretched thousands of kilometers across space. Every location worked in complete synchronization. Human civilization no longer depended on a single world. It had become an interconnected network. Destroy one colony. 100 others continued working. Meanwhile, Admiral Nathan Hayes stood inside Earth's Strategic Command. Before him floated a new fleet unlike anything humanity had previously built. The old warships were gone. In their place stood the Aegis-class Titans. Each measured nearly 15 kilometers long. Instead of sleek alien curves, they carried thick armor plates layered like fortress walls. Massive magnetic cannons lined their hulls. Energy shields shimmered beneath reinforced plating. Every vessel was designed with one philosophy. If it could be destroyed, build it stronger. Hayes turned to Chief Engineer Elena Brooks. Status. The first fleet is operational. How many? She hesitated before answering. The galaxy believes we have 12 capital ships. Hayes nodded. And reality? She smiled. 318. The room erupted in quiet laughter. Humanity hadn't tried to match alien technology. It had improved upon its own strengths. Alien civilizations favored elegant engineering. Humans preferred redundancy. Aliens built efficient reactors. Humans built reactors that kept running even after catastrophic damage. Alien ships were masterpieces. Human ships were survivors. It wasn't beautiful. It was practical. And practical won wars. Far beyond Pluto, another project approached completion. A massive circular structure slowly rotated around a frozen dwarf planet. Officially, it didn't exist. Unofficially, it was called the Gate Forge. Unlike ordinary shipyards, this installation wasn't designed to build fleets. It was designed to build infrastructure across entire star systems. Massive construction vessels entered one side. Fully equipped colonies emerged from the other. Cities, orbital defenses, power stations, terraforming equipment, everything required to transform an empty system into a thriving human civilization. In months instead of centuries, Back inside the Galactic Concord, a young intelligence officer interrupted an assembly meeting. "Hi, Chancellor, we've received unusual reports from the edge of explored space." The Chancellor barely looked up. "What kind of reports?" "Long-range sensors detected industrial signatures." "From whom?" "We're not certain." "Pirates?" "No." The officer swallowed nervously. "The energy output suggests something far larger." The Chancellor dismissed the concern with a wave. "Probably a mining consortium." "But, Chancellor..." "Enough." The meeting continued. The warning was ignored. On Earth, Admiral Hayes watched the same sensor data from a secure command center. He smiled. "They noticed." Dr. Myachin looked at him. "Should we slow production?" Hayes shook his head. "No." He stared at the stars beyond the observation window. They had their chance to welcome humanity. They chose arrogance. A new notification appeared across every command display. Project Horizon status, 100% complete. For decades, humanity had built in silence. Now, the galaxy was about to discover what that silence had created. 15 years after humanity's rejection, the Galactic Concord faced a nightmare unlike anything in its history. It began at the edge of known space. 3 prosperous star systems stopped transmitting within a single week. No distress calls. No survivors. Only silence. When reconnaissance fleets finally arrived, they found entire colonies abandoned. Orbital stations drifted lifeless through space. Defense platforms had been crushed as though they were made of paper. The attackers left no message. No demands. Only destruction. Across the galaxy, one name spread in fearful whispers. The Void Swarm. Unlike any known civilization, the Swarm did not negotiate. It did not conquer worlds for resources or territory. It simply erased them. Every fleet sent against it disappeared. Every fortress fell. Every strategy failed. Inside the Hall of Stars, panic replaced arrogance. The same senators who had once laughed at humanity now argued over evacuation plans. "We've lost 6 battle groups. Our shield technology is useless. They adapt faster than we can respond." The High Chancellor slammed his staff against the chamber floor. "Silence." The room quieted. "Our combined fleets still outnumber the enemy." An exhausted admiral slowly stood. "No, Chancellor." He activated a hologram. Thousands of red markers spread across the galactic map. "The enemy grows after every battle. They're salvaging our ships. They're learning our technology. And they're heading toward the core worlds." Fear spread through the chamber. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Concord was losing. Far away, Earth watched everything. Inside Strategic Command, Admiral Nathan Hayes studied every battle recording the Concord had transmitted publicly. Dr. Myachin folded her arms. "They're fighting exactly as we predicted." Hayes nodded. "They rely on centralized command. They protect their flagships. They assume every enemy values survival." He paused. "The Void Swarm values none of those things." General Sofia Ramirez entered the room carrying a classified report. "Our simulations are complete." Hayes looked up. "And? If we entered the war today?" She hesitated. "We could stop the invasion." Silence filled the command center. One officer finally asked the question everyone was thinking. "So why don't we?" Hayes looked toward the stars. "Because they haven't asked." Days later, the impossible happened. A Concorde diplomatic cruiser entered the solar system. No escort. No weapons powered. Only a single ambassador aboard. The same ambassador who had voted against humanity 15 years earlier. Counselor Ver. His scales had faded with age. His confident posture was gone. When he stepped onto Earth's diplomatic platform, he removed the ceremonial badge of the Galactic Concord. A gesture of humility rarely seen among the proud alien governments. Standing across from him was Ambassador Evelyn Carter. She looked exactly as calm as she had on the day Earth was rejected. Varric lowered his head. "We require assistance." Carter remained silent. "Our fleets are collapsing." Still no response. Our worlds are burning. The silence became unbearable. Finally, Varric spoke the words he never imagined he would say. We were wrong. Carter slowly walked toward the massive observation window overlooking Earth's orbital defenses. Hundreds of enormous warships floated peacefully above the planet, each one larger than any Concorde battleship. Varric stared in disbelief. How? You stopped watching us, Carter answered. So we kept building. His eyes widened further as countless construction vessels emerged from hidden orbital shipyards. The numbers were impossible. Thousands. Then tens of thousands. He whispered. Your intelligence reports said humanity had 12 capital ships. Carter gave a faint smile. We allowed those reports to spread. Back on the Concorde flagship, emergency communications arrived. The Void Swarm has entered the Helios corridor. The 4th Defense Fleet has been destroyed. We cannot hold them. Varric turned desperately toward Carter. If Earth refuses to help, there won't be a galactic Concorde left. Carter looked at the stars for a long moment. Then she spoke quietly. Humanity remembers every insult. Varric closed his eyes. I know. But humanity also remembers every innocent life. She activated a secure communicator. Connect me to Admiral Hayes. His face appeared instantly. No speeches, Hayes said. Just give the order. Carter nodded once. Operation Dawn begins now. Across the solar system, hidden shipyards awakened. Massive engines ignited. Defense platforms powered online. Hundreds of human fleets received the same transmission. For decades they had prepared in silence. Now, humanity was finally leaving home. Not to seek revenge. Not to demand recognition. But to prove something the galaxy had never understood. Earth had never needed permission to become powerful. And the Void Swarm was about to discover exactly what humanity had been building in the shadows. The first human fleet did not arrive with fanfare. There were no grand speeches. No declarations of vengeance. Only silence. The space itself trembled. Along the edge of the Helios corridor, hundreds of brilliant blue portals opened at once. Massive human warships emerged in perfect formation, their engines glowing like miniature suns. Thick armor covered every meter of their hulls. Towering magnetic rail cannons tracked their targets with mechanical precision. The surviving Concorde fleet stared in disbelief. One exhausted alien captain whispered, Those can't all be battleships. His sensor officers swallowed hard. They're larger. Much larger. The tactical display updated. Human fleet strength, unknown. Before anyone could react, Admiral Nathan Hayes' voice echoed across every Allied communication channel. This is Admiral Nathan Hayes of the United Earth Defense Command. All Concorde vessels, fall back behind our defensive line. The alien commanders hesitated. They had never taken orders from humanity. Not until today. Across the battlefield, the Void Swarm advanced without fear. Millions of biomechanical drones rushed toward the human formation like a living tidal wave. The Concorde expected humanity to charge forward. Instead, the human fleet stopped. Every ship held position. Admiral Hayes gave a single command. Fortress formation. Immediately, the entire fleet transformed. The enormous battleships locked together through electromagnetic docking systems. Shield projectors synchronized. Energy barriers merged. Within seconds, hundreds of individual warships became one colossal defensive wall stretching thousands of kilometers across space. The alien commanders watched in stunned silence. No species has ever fought like this. The Void Swarm attacked. Thousands of plasma beams slammed into the human shields. The barrier flickered, but never failed. Instead of collapsing, auxiliary reactors activated automatically. Reserve shield generators came online. Backup systems replaced damaged components before they could fail. Hayes smiled. They expected efficiency. They're meeting redundancy. The next command came calmly. Return fire. The darkness of space exploded into light. Hundreds of magnetic rail cannons fired simultaneously. Each projectile traveled at unimaginable speed. Unlike plasma weapons, they could not be absorbed or redirected. They simply punched through everything in their path. The front ranks of the Void Swarm disappeared instantly. Entire attack formations shattered. Behind them, missile carriers released tens of thousands of intelligent hypersonic missiles. Every missile shared targeting data in real time. No shot was wasted. No enemy escaped. Within minutes, the unstoppable swarm had lost nearly 20% of its attacking force. For the first time, it stopped advancing. Inside the Concorde flagship, officers could hardly believe their sensors. They're forcing the swarm to retreat. Impossible. No fleet has ever done that. The High Chancellor stared silently at the tactical display. Years earlier, he had declared humanity had nothing to offer the galaxy. Now, humanity was saving it. But Admiral Hayes wasn't celebrating. He studied fresh intelligence reports. They're adapting. General Sofia Ramirez nodded. The swarm has identified our firing patterns. Hayes smiled slightly. Good. Ramirez looked confused. Sir? They've learned Phase 1. He turned toward the operations staff. Initiate Phase 2. Far beyond the battlefield, the massive structure known as Gate Forge activated for the first time. Its enormous rings rotated faster and faster until brilliant streams of energy surrounded the station. One by one, entire fleets emerged. Not dozens. Not hundreds. Thousands. Fresh battleships. Carrier groups. Drone tenders. Mobile repair stations. Logistics vessels. Everything required to sustain an endless campaign. The Concorde officers watching remotely couldn't comprehend the numbers. One ambassador whispered, "They built an entire civilization for war." Dr. Maya Chin corrected him through the shared communications channel. "No. We built a civilization that could survive anything." The Void Swarm launched its largest assault. Millions more drones poured into the Helios corridor. The stars themselves disappeared behind the endless enemy fleet. Any other civilization would have retreated. Humanity advanced. Admiral Hayes stood confidently on the bridge of the flagship Aegis I. He looked across the endless battlefield and gave the order history would remember forever. Open every channel. The transmission reached every ship, every colony, every frightened world in the galaxy. Hayes spoke only one sentence. Humanity was never asking to join your future. The pause. Then his voice became stronger than ever. We came to build a better one. At that exact moment, the entire human fleet accelerated. Thousands of warships charged directly into the heart of the Void Swarm. The battle that would decide the fate of the galaxy had finally begun. The Helios corridor had become a sea of fire. Thousands of human warships carved through the heart of the Void Swarm while Concorde fleets followed behind, witnessing something they had never imagined possible. Human ships fought differently. If one vessel lost its shields, another immediately moved into position to cover it. If a weapon battery failed, automated repair drones rebuilt it during combat. Every captain shared targeting data with every other ship. No fleet acted alone. Humanity fought as a single living organism. On the bridge of Aegis I, Admiral Nathan Hayes watched the battle unfold across a holographic display stretching from floor to ceiling. General Sofia Ramirez stepped beside him. The swarm has committed its reserve fleet. The tactical map suddenly turned crimson. A massive object emerged from hyperspace. It dwarfed everything around it. The Void Nexus. The command vessel directing the entire invasion. Nearly 100 kilometers long, it resembled a dark continent drifting through space, surrounded by millions of defensive drones. One Concorde admiral stared in horror. That's impossible. Our largest supercarrier is 1/10 that size. Hayes remained calm. So that's the brain. He turned toward his officers. Prepare the Spear Fleet. Hidden behind the main human battle line, 12 experimental dreadnoughts powered their reactors to maximum output. These ships had never appeared in any intelligence report. They had never been seen outside classified simulations. Each carried a weapon so powerful it had been tested only once. Captain Elena Brooks smiled as reactor readings stabilized. Spear fleet ready. Hayes nodded. Open the corridor. Human carriers immediately deployed millions of autonomous drones, creating a moving shield that cleared a path straight toward the Void Nexus. The 12 dreadnoughts accelerated, not away from danger, straight into it. The Void Swarm responded instantly. Countless drones surrounded the spear fleet. Plasma fire illuminated space brighter than nearby stars. One human dreadnought lost its forward armor. Another suffered engine damage. Yet none of them slowed. Captain Brooks activated the primary weapon. Quantum Lance, charging. Energy flooded the enormous cannon running the entire length of her ship. The weapon fired. A single beam of brilliant white light pierced through the battlefield. It tore through hundreds of enemy vessels before striking the Void Nexus itself. For a moment, nothing happened. Then cracks of blue energy spread across the massive command ship like lightning. Hayes gave the final order. All fleets, concentrate fire. Thousands of human warships unleashed everything they had. Rail cannons, missiles, plasma batteries, particle beams. The combined barrage struck the damaged Void Nexus. The gigantic vessel began to break apart. Its outer shell collapsed. Its reactors overloaded. Seconds later, the largest explosion in recorded galactic history lit up the Helios corridor. The shockwave spread across millions of kilometers. Silence. Across the battlefield, every remaining Void Swarm drone froze. Without their command vessel, they no longer moved. One after another, they powered down. The invasion was over. For several minutes, no one spoke. Then cheers erupted across hundreds of alien worlds. Civilizations that had expected extinction watched the impossible become reality. Humanity had done what the Galactic Concord could not. It had saved the galaxy. Weeks later, representatives from every major civilization gathered once again inside the Hall of Stars. This time, there was no laughter. No arrogance. Only respect. The High Chancellor slowly approached Ambassador Evelyn Carter. He removed the ancient seal of the Galactic Concord and placed it on the table between them. Humanity, we owe you more than an apology. Carter looked at the seal but made no move to pick it up. The Chancellor frowned. Do you still refuse membership? She smiled gently. We're not here to join the Concord. Confused whispers spread across the chamber. She activated a hologram. A completely new charter appeared above the assembly. Its title read, The Stellar Alliance Charter. Unlike the old Concord, it granted every civilization, large or small, an equal voice. Membership would never depend on military strength, technology, wealth, or political influence. Only one principle mattered: mutual respect. Carter looked around the chamber. You judged civilizations by what they already possessed. We judge them by what they're willing to become. One by one, alien leaders stood. Not to object, but to applaud. The old Galactic Concord officially dissolved that day. In its place, the Stellar Alliance was born. Not because humanity demanded power, but because humanity had earned trust. Months later, Admiral Hayes stood aboard an observation platform overlooking Earth. Young cadets asked him the question history would remember. Sir, when did humanity truly win? Hayes looked toward the stars, where human and alien ships now traveled together. We didn't win when we defeated the Void Swarm. We won the day we stopped asking others to decide our worth. He smiled as dozens of allied fleets disappeared into hyperspace, exploring the future together. The galaxy had rejected Earth. But humanity never wasted time seeking revenge. Instead, it built something so extraordinary that the galaxy chose to follow. Because in the end, the greatest civilizations do not rewrite history with anger. They rewrite the rules with